People of Earth, good evening. Today is April 1st, 2024. Here are the developments of the current galactic events that affect the future of Earth as a planetary civilization. And I am pleased to welcome you to this 24th episode of Star Nation News. This week, we will return to Earth, Moon, Luna, but we will also report on news from Orion and the Ciakahrr Wars. On March 17, 2024, a new development that has occurred on Earth, Moon, Luna, and Galactic Federation of Worlds High Commander Ciakahrr Wars from the Excelsis station tells us more about it. Ciakahrr Wars reported on March 17, 2024, that 3 of the 17 recently retrieved pods in the central core of the lunar vessel had activated and began communicating. Various instruments in all of Earth-Moon facilities were receiving mathematically coded signals. The Earth Alliance communication engineers on and in the Moon, including Earth specialists and Galactic Federation of Worlds personnel, began to process of deciphering them. It promised to be a very exciting challenge. In the days that followed, the Earth Alliance asked the Intergalactic Confederation for help in understanding the coded signals. Altian communications engineer and Ormong scientist Ciakahrr, who had been in charge of receiving and retrieving the newly discovered pods for further analysis last year, arrived on Luna on March 20th and met with Earth Alliance communications engineer. On March 27, an excerpt of Ormong scientist Ciakahrr's report was translated into English and sent to me, followed by additional information from Altian scientist Ciakahrr. The 17 crew members of the lunar vessel have not all interfaced with the core consciousness. Only 4 of them did, and 3 of them began to interface with all the ship's metric communication systems, which are the only devices capable of receiving this type of bundled, structured language. The information arrived encrypted in such a way that the metric devices could integrate it. What was missing was an encoding transcriptor. The beings in the pods probably thought we would be able to figure out that the coding transcriptor was in the consciousness interface. While our recent studies since recovering these pods make it clear that no one has a DNA interface with them, the answer was consciousness. It has been a challenge for Terra Alliance personnel to figure out how to interface consciousness. And so, Science Officer Ciakahrr and I have been able to help. This information is embedded in temporal sonic capsules transported on longitudinal carrier waves. The signal emitted by 3 of the 4 activated pods was pulsed in 3 sequences, once per pod, at 5 Terran minutes intervals, and recorded by all the various types of metric equipment operating on the Luna ship. Since it is part of their natural communication range, Altian scientist Ciakahrr was able to interface with the 3 pulsed signals and translate the messages. These messages consist of 3 series of various technical blueprints, mathematical, scientific equations related to the nature of the universe, and a message for the Terrans. A temporal sonic capsule is what we call data eggs in Altian. They can be transmitted on carrier waves or embedded in crystals, such as crystal eggs, quartz points, or crystal tablets. We use data eggs in our daily communication, as do many advanced races. Considering the totality of what we have explored in this universe, considering also all life forms at all levels of evolution, this type of language is the most prevalent, and it supersedes all forms of spoken language. This is not the original language of Source, but it is its first evolutionary process. A carrier wave can be an electrical brainwave, an electromagnetic pulse, a longitudinal scalar wave, a radio wave, or frequency wave. Many media can carry data eggs. As with reading information encrypted in crystal carriers, the decryption of data eggs carried on a scalar wave occurs when it interfaces with consciousness. To read information encoded in a crystal device requires a DNA interface to stimulate the device's piezoelectric morphogenetic key. But when the same information is carried by a scalar waves, no DNA interface is required. The information is unpacked directly in the mind of the receiver. These data eggs are temporal capsules in which a temporal distortion allows a large amount of information to be stored. The receiver will read the decompressed information in real time, but if the subject is in linear time, only 1 second will pass. The beings in the pods on Terra's satellite ship Luna communicate this way. It is important to note that the pods do not carry a physical biological body, but are chrysalises that host a plasmic consciousness. Plasmic consciousness does not require a biological avatar. In their natural state, they exist without one. This type of life form in the lunar pods is not from this universe, as they do not exist on the time grid of this universe. We will surely learn more about them when their time merges with ours. Among the technical information being handled by the Terran Alliance is a message from this culture to the humans of Terra. Here it is. Time has come. Earth human, activate. Planet changes frequency. New beginning. Time has come. We of the 7 galaxies are back, heralded by the cedars of life. We are one through the universes. One. We are one. Time has come when Earth humans break out of illusion. The dark inclusions have been removed. Planet Earth is ready. Humans of planet Earth must activate. They must understand. Now, who they are. What is creation? What is space? What is time? Who they are. Who we are. And all will become one again. One is freedom. One is the ultimate level of evolution. Go back to the source center point within your cellular structure. DNA. DNA. Zagara Egaroth Consular Annex reports that exploration of the area surrounding the M45 nebula's eye, or central vortex, has been conclusive. The dismantling of the vast number of superstructures left behind by the Nebu will be completed in the near future. These superstructures, built in space and hidden within the nebula's gaze, consist of spaceports and former ray clone nurseries. The central eye, located near the former Kaaba cube, is now unlocked, stable, and open for transit. For the time being, the use of this particular vortex is strictly regulated because it connects to the void and it's a shortcut to other universes. Consular Annex also reports that the galactic war opposing the Ciakahrr Empire to the Galactic Alliance is raging near the Orion zone, of course, where a Murtal freighter from the Corena star system was intercepted in one of the Orion neutral zones and destroyed by a rogue Ciakahrr squad that had escaped from a nearby war zone. The Murtal are a pacifist trading culture under the protectorate of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Because the Corena star system is also among the protected cultures of the Ciakahrr Empire, with which the mortal have trade agreements, Emperor Anu has dispatched additional fleets to protect the borders of the Orion neutral zones. And Consular Anax states that the Ciakahrr Empire as a whole is overwhelmed by forces of the Alliance, but that many small rogue squadrons are roaming free to do as much damage as possible before the entire empire collapses. These are threats we must not underestimate. In the vastness of space, fast, small squadrons of 3 to 4 small ships are easy to neutralize, but they are difficult to detect. With changes comes resistance, both to the dark and to the light. It is a natural law of the universe. So we have had the chance to have 2 reports that have been translated to me for me in English and transmitted to me. I haven't had direct contact with these 2 Intergalactic Confederation scientists, the Ormong and the Altian, but I had their reports given to me. And what I can comment on this is that I totally understand the position of the Galactic Alliance not to give all the details of the mathematical formulas and the technology blueprints to the public freely for the moment, because the deep state is still in power a little bit. They're crumbling down like the Ciakahrr Empire, as above, so below, funnily. Not that much because it's the law of the universe, but they still have a little grip on things, and they can take this information to do bad things. So they're holding on the moon the information, and it will be given to apply for the public in a little while. They want to be sure it will be safe. But besides that, I found interesting the message of this mysterious culture, which can suggest where the famous builders, mysterious builders. This message is interesting because the core consciousness that is in the drive mechanism of the moon vessel is awakening now. And the crew has awakened a little bit before, a year before. And the message is about it is now time when Earth shifts into frequency. And it's very interesting because everything awakes, and we have at the same time the messages about the arc. So it's very interesting. And I think it's a personal message. It applies personally to everyone as well. Talking about the moon, I would like to mention that next week, in a week time, we will have solar eclipse, total solar eclipse in certain places on Earth, on a line, an orbital line of the moon. And there's a lot of fuss about it on the internet, and there's a lot of people wanting attention or make money, taking the opportunity to put forward narratives, we're going to call them, call it like that. Bringing back a kind of a middle-age feel of prediction, etc. Well, a solar eclipse is a natural astronomical occurrence, and there's no need to worry about it. It has been happening all the time, and it will still happen. it's easy to calculate. It's not a prophecy. We know exactly when the next eclipses will fall, exactly at minute, at the minute. So there's no way to make fuss about it, you know. There's a lot of people talking about either weird stuff happening on Earth or even try to promote the sempiternal solar flash, which is, I think we're gonna starting to be tired of with this story of solar flash. Let's move on. Some talk about this phenomenon, natural phenomenon, activating people. It's not going to activate people, okay? The personal activation of consciousness and awareness of who we are, it's a personal process, it's progressive, and everyone is at their own pace. So there's no, there cannot be mass activation or mass awakening like this. It's a slow, progressive process as the Earth and the star system is progressively shifting into a higher frequency, because we have entered a higher frequency zone in this galaxy on our orbit around the galactic center, double center actually. So there's no need to be afraid of anything. I think humanity has passed the Middle Ages, and it's only distraction also. So I would advise that you stay in high frequency and high vibe and get on with your life that day as well. And if you want to look at the eclipse, put sunglasses, don't look directly, the usual directives, you know. It's true that when on the magical side, we must not ignore and keep in mind that the dark magicians working for dark forces are always, it's always more easy for them to cast spells when the light of the sun is cast, but it's also as it is in the night. The sun is even less shining in the night when it's on the other side of the earth. So, you know, there will be gravity pulls, which is natural law. It's not normal gravity pulls on the fluids, the liquids. You can feel things in your body, but it will be natural and nothing to worry about. And I would advise to stop listening to all the nonsense. There's a race to nonsense going on the internet about this eclipse. So I think it's time we grow up and we move on and leave behind these Middle Ages doom narratives. And we need to move on, honestly. You need to do that. Humanity of Earth. And my third topic I want to add in this report, it's about the Orion zone and the report from Counselor Anax. Two things. War is a normal process. Source is dual. Source is one singularity that is present in every cellular core of anything that is created. But source is also in its oneness, is dual, means that not gender dual, dynamics dual, creative, destructive. That's part of one. That's what source is. And from one, inside of one, there's two, like the yin and yang. Think about that. And wars are part of the evolutionary process of the universe. It is needed to challenge the potential in living beings. If there's no challenge, there's no evolution. We're not learning how to get better. We are not discovering about ourselves. War is an unnatural process, and we're all actors in it. An interesting incident, well, unfortunate and very sad incident that Anax reported about this Myrtal freighter that was destroyed by a small squad of Ciakahrrs in a neutral zone. So that was a provocation. That was gaslighting. That was provoking. Ciakahrr are desperate. They are desperate. Always assimilate, for the Trekkies, the Ciakahrrs to the Klingons. The Klingons. Honor, dying battle, etc., etc., etc. That's who they are. So they're desperate and they're just doing suicidal operations, trying to make the most damage as possible, as Anax said. And these neutral zones, so every planetary system has an area of neutral zone. That means if you enter this zone, if you're peaceful, it's fine. But if you enter with aggressive move, you are out. War in the galaxy happens in non-neutral zones, which we can call confrontation zones or war zones, meeting zones. War never occurs in a neutral zone, in the zones of the star systems. When it does, that means the star system is attacked, and then there's an infringement, and the response is straight away, of course. When you take a star system, if a fleet from this star system is going to fight another foreign fleet outside of their neutral zone, of the neutral zone of that star system, it's between them. But if they fight inside of the neutral zone, then the Galactic Federation intervenes, or whoever protects this star system, this culture. So that's helpful. I hope it helps you understand better. Unfortunately, wars are really something horrible. They're wars. I myself have been through a lot of wars during all my Avatar incarnations, and I have to say it's terrible. You don't want to go through this. But at the end, it teaches us what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. And it makes of us stronger individuals, more intelligent consciousness. And then we can teach. Because remember one thing, everything you learn, you have the duty to pass it on. And that also is evolution. See you next week for another episode of Star Nation News.